Hello. I know I look terrible right now. I just got out of the shower. I had to kind of take a mommy time out and reflect on a few things. Um, and I decided that I wanted to vlog about it a little bit. Um, as many of you know that know me, you know that I lost my daughter to shaken baby syndrome. Um, She was abused on October 8th of 1998, and she lived until the 10th. Her injuries were consistent with blunt force trauma and shaken baby syndrome. I had to wait a very long time before we finally went to trial, and at that point, the person that did this to her was he was actually charged with second-degree murder, and that really didn't fit the case. He was found not guilty. His public defender, of course, turned down negligent homicide and whatever else they were trying to reduce the sentence to, because they knew that it would be hard to prove second-degree murder. So I became a part of a group called I'm a Mother to an Angel, and while I was in that group, I came across a story that was very touching to me, about a little girl named Mia, whose mother went through pretty much the same thing that I went through. Today, the man who abused Mia was sentenced, and he was sentenced to 27 years in prison. I'm so happy for Mia's mommy, because even though this doesn't bring Mia back, it probably gives her mom some closure. Maybe not closure, but a little bit of peace in knowing that the man that did this has to pay for his crime. It's not something that I'll ever get to experience. So, where I'm so happy for her, I'm also really mad at myself. I'm mad at the situation that I had to go through, because I feel like there was so much more that I could have done to protect and to help my baby, and I didn't. I was so young. I was barely 18 years old when it happened, and I think when we went to trial I was 19 when he was charged and 20 when we went to trial. My brain just couldn't process everything that was going on. I didn't want to believe that somebody could actually hurt my child. There was a lot of things that I held back, especially because he was not a nice person, and I was scared. I was really scared. And so, yeah, there was a lot of things that I held back. I carry this guilt with me all the time, every day. And after hearing of the sentence today, it just made it that more real. The fact that there is nothing that I can do to even go back to file some kind of charges or to hold him somewhat responsible for what he did to my baby. What I do hope is that our stories will help other moms in seeing the signs, because there's signs. There are signs. You may be blind to them while they're happening, but those signs are there, and nothing I can do or say will ever bring my baby back. But I know that she knows how much I love her and how sorry I am for what she had to go through. With that being said, I'm going to keep my promise to her, and I'm going to fight. I know it's too late now to fight for her, but I'm going to fight for other babies, for other moms that might be in my position. I'm gonna fight. I know that there's something that has to be done. There was another baby, Valerie, who I learned of her story through a friend of mine who worked at the pediatrician's office that Valerie went to, and the person that took Valerie's life was the aunt's boyfriend. So it was Valerie's aunt's boyfriend who abused her, and they unfortunately got the same results that we did. So there's obviously a problem with the justice system in Arizona because this is two obvious cases where a child lost their life in the hands of another person, and the person who was charged walked free. I know in my case, there was so much proof there. I mean, it was obvious. It was so obvious now that I look back. But when we were going through it at the time, it was really hard to believe that somebody that I trusted with my baby could hurt her, could take her life. And I was only gone for 20 minutes. And now I'll never, ever see her again. I'll never hold her again. And I have to bear this pain every single day. So, I'm sitting here today with a promise that I will fight. I will do whatever it takes to find that there's some kind of mandatory child abuse case in any crime against a child that I thought was supposed to be a law already in Arizona, but apparently it's not, because if that was the case, then maybe Valerie's family would have gotten a little bit more of some closure with her death. And I also know that there was previous CPS investigations going on in the house with the person who was charged with the murder of my daughter. There was some CPS investigations going on with his siblings, and none of that was allowed in court. And I don't understand why, because we all lived in the same house. So I think that if there is a crime against a child resulting in death, that if there was any previous CPS investigation going on with that individual that's charged, that should be welcomed, regardless of who the person is. Like, there was two young children at the time. They were 5 and 6 years old, and so why was it thrown out? Why wasn't that allowed at our trial? I realized that it wasn't directly related to Adriana, but I had no idea that these charges or this investigation even existed at the time. What I wouldn't give today to be able to talk to them and find out. Anyways, my plan is to, like I said, fight. I want to fight for my baby. I want to fight for all the babies out there, because they don't have a voice of their own, and they depend on us. They depend on adults, parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts and anybody in their life to speak up for them. And so that's what I promise to do. I love you, baby girl.